Welcome to the introductory video for using the quiz tool in Desire to Learn, brought to you by UWM's Learning Technology Center. In this video you'll be introduced to the quizzing function in D2L through a brief walkthrough of how to create a simple quiz. Many instructors use the quizzing function for different reasons, ranging from frequent low-stakes assessments to larger assessments such as midterms and final exams. Let's go into quizzes. When you click into the quizzing area in D2L, you'll probably first notice that there are three tabs: Manage Quizzes, Question Library, and Statistics. When you first enter quizzes, you are put into Manage Quizzes by default. Manage Quizzes is where you can create new quizzes and modify existing quizzes. Below the tabs are buttons that say New Quiz, Edit Categories, and More Actions. If you wish to create a new quiz from scratch, click on the New Quiz button. When you start a new quiz, you will see that a new screen appears with several new tabs of its own. These tabs are Properties, Restrictions, Attempts, Objectives, Submission Views, Report Setup, and Layout/Questions. Now you are put into the Properties tab by default, which is where you enter basic settings for your quiz, including the name of the quiz. After you name your quiz, you can also create a category in which to place the quiz. Categories are a way for you to divide up quizzes depending on how they're used. For example, you could create a category called Exams and put your midterm and final exams into it. And the category will evenly distribute the weight of the exam grades across those two. You could also have a category called Quizzes that consists of weekly quizzes that could also get evenly distributed. Below Category, you'll see that you can tie in the quiz with a pre-existing grade item or make a new grade item for the quiz. If you want your quiz to be automatically graded, with the score automatically put into grades, make sure that you check the boxes next to Allow Automatic Export to Grades and Allow Attempts to be set as graded immediately upon completion. Then make sure that you save. We'll now go back into the quiz and click on the Restrictions tab. All quizzes are by default inactive. That way, it gives you time to work on the quiz without worrying about having students trying to take it while you're working on it. Below the status bar, you can set start and end dates for when you'd like the quiz to be open and when you'd like it to close. Let's scroll down on that page, and you will see that there is a section for timing. Here you can set the time limit for the quiz. We usually recommend that you allow 45 to 50 seconds per question on an online quiz. That allows students enough time to think over the question, but not necessarily enough time to look it up on Google or Wikipedia. You can also see that there are checkboxes next to Enforced and Show Clock. There isn't a second-by-second New Year's Eve style countdown in quizzes, but it will tell the students how many minutes they have left. If the time limit is enforced in D2L, D2L will flag late entries by having the attempts show up in red. You also have the option to add another minute or two before submissions are flagged as late by putting time under grace period. Below that, you can see the settings for late submissions. By default, D2L sets late submissions to be submitted normally. Then you can just see in the attempts what's late and decide what you want to do with it as the instructor. D2L will never kick students out of a quiz. However, if you click the radio buttons next to either Use Late Limit or Auto Submit Attempt, students might lose answers for being late. Auto Submit Attempt was created to replicate the experience of taking an exam where a proctor takes the exams immediately once time is up. However, since D2L never kicks students out of quizzes, they might not even realize that this happened. Both Late Limits and Auto Submit Attempt will automatically submit whatever answers were saved when the time limit expires. If a student took every answer when time expired but did not save any of their answers, nothing will be submitted and she or he will receive a 0. So make sure if you use Late Limit or Auto Submit Attempt to remind your students to save every answer. Moving down, if you have a student with a visa or a student that needs to make up a quiz, you can give students special access. Once we're in Special Access, you'll see that we have the same options that we had in the previous screen. Only on this screen, these options, whatever we put here, will apply only to those who ever need them. Now let's move over to the Attempts tab. Under Attempts Allowed, you can choose anywhere from 1 to 10 or unlimited. Under Overall Grade Calculation, you can also choose to keep the highest attempt, the lowest attempt for whatever reason, average of all attempts, the first attempt, or the last attempt. If you have more than one attempt, and then click Save, you'll see that a new area opens up called Advanced Attempt Conditions. Here you set the conditions necessary for a student to get another attempt. If you leave it blank, there will be no restrictions and all students will get 2 attempts. Often this is used to require students to get a particular score before they can move on to the next quiz. You can also have multiple attempts that are all dependent on how a student performs on a particular quiz. Let's now move over to the Layout/Questions tab.